Welcome to Toronto Talk Sports and More, episode number 11. It's Hez here, joined by my co-host, Courtz. It's Wednesday, June the 13th, and it's feeling nice out there. We're inching closer to the official start of summer. Courtz, what's going on, big guy?
What's happening, Hez? How's it going?
Yes, everything is good. So Courtz is joining us on the phone. You're not in studio. Where are you, buddy?
Yep, at my house.
Nice and comfy?
Definitely.
Got on the AC, do you?
The AC? Oh, no, not hot enough for that yet. Maybe in a couple of weeks. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks we'll get heat.
As the weather warms up. So we're a bit short-handed today. Milo, one of our main hosts, of course, this is the first episode that he's missing. He's not doing very well at all. It seems like there's some, whether it's a flu bug or whatever it is going on. I know, Courtz, you've been down and out for the last 3 weeks, which is why you're not in studio here. You're still kind of recovering, but you're able to join us by phone. So Milo, we definitely wish you all the best, and hopefully we'll have you back in studio next week. And hopefully you as well, Courtz. We haven't seen you in studio for, it's been a few weeks.
Yes, sir. Get well soon, Milo.
Yes, absolutely. So we do want to kind of throw this out there and perhaps even apologize in advance. We are also having some technical issues with our setup for the phone connection. So if by chance you're not hearing Courtz, too clearly, that is something that we're working on, and everything should be, back on track for next week. So we ask that you do bear with us. This is episode number 11 as of June the 12th. We've officially been running for 2 months now. We did launch on April the 12th. So we have 10 episodes officially under our belts. Courtz, let's talk to our audience. In the past 2 months, so basically from episode 1 to episode 10, what's been your most memorable moment so far on Toronto Talk Sports and More?
Well, to be honest, Hez, I don't have just one memorable moment. My most memorable moments are just all the different guests we've had in studio. It's just been such a pleasure to have a different variety of guests join us in studio. Mm-hmm. And it's great to have them, talk about their crafts, talk about their business, and just tell us more about them and what they do. Awesome. And it's really great just to, get them in our studio and help to have them share their business with us for us to get to know them a little more.
Definitely. So for me, I would say my most memorable moment and this was kind of a funny, a hilariously funny, actually, behind the scenes moment that actually involved you, Courtz.
I think I know what you're talking about.
I think it might have been episode 4. Now, unfortunately, I can't share the details. It's one of those inside joke situations. But there was something that happened in studio where we were in the middle of segments. And we might have had, Courtz, maybe there was 6 or 7 of us in the studio room. Yeah. And we were just like literally, not figuratively, but literally on the ground, belly laughing. It was crazy. It was insane. Something was said, and it was so funny. You remember that moment.
Oh, that was hilarious. I think that was episode number 1, if I'm not mistaken. I think that was our very first episode. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, okay.
Pretty sure it was our first episode, but that was just absolutely hilarious. I've never laughed that hard in my life.
Actually, I think you're right with episode 1. Our sound engineer, Paula, she's actually shaking her head yes, because she remembers that moment well. Yeah. Her face went so red. So that was crazy. I'll also say for me, and you hit the nail on the head, Courtz, I think one of the highlights of what we've done so far, and something that, we can definitely take pride in, 10 episodes, is bringing guests in the studio, particularly our And More segments where, we bring in entrepreneurs and whatnot, artists and influencers in the city of Toronto. So for me, the most memorable one was actually episode number 6 when Sabina actually joined us in studio. And it's not so much that I preferred her as opposed to any of the others or anything of that. Just the concept of having someone do live music. I'm a huge lover of music, as I'm sure most of us are. And she just really brought the vibes, especially the Bob Marley, with the violin. That was amazing. And that's something that I actually definitely, and all of us, I'm sure we would say, want to do more of. Is to bring in artists, music artists, just adding that extra element to the stuff that we do with sports and whatnot. So that was definitely a highlight for me. But as I said, 10 episodes under our belts, and hopefully many more to come. So thanks for your contributions, Courtz, Milo as well. Thanks to our audience for continuing to listen to us and supporting us by listening, and our social media as well. We definitely appreciate you, and look out for much more to come from Toronto Talk Sports and more.
Yeah.
All right. So listen, last week we announced our partnership with Barn Burner. We don't have any real further updates to share, but just want to let our audience know that we're working on some really cool, some really fun and exciting stuff. Likely we'll have an update by the end of June as far as, what specifically we're going to be doing with the Barn Burner. But in the meantime, do feel free to check them out on their website, which is barnburner.ca. And of course, stay tuned here. And for more updates as well, visit our website, TorontoTalkSports.com. So we initially had a full show ahead, but because we're very short-handed and also due to technical considerations, last week, and we were discussing this during the pre-show with Courtz, last week was actually our longest episode. Episode number 10 was about an hour in length, Courtz.
About so, yeah.
Yeah, maybe a little over an hour. So this week could possibly be our shortest show. We just kind of have our two segments. We're going to be discussing, the World Cup, obviously, which begins Thursday, June 14th.
Yes, can't wait for the World Cup starting tomorrow, the 14th. And something else exciting is happening the 14th, Zion.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's your birthday. Happy birthday, pal.
Oh,
June
boy.
14th, a huge milestone for you. You're turning 50, I think.
Oh, boy, yes, I am turning 50 minus 10.
Oh, 40. Okay. I'm losing track. But happy birthday, bro. Huge milestone to you. More life.
Yes. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. Definitely blessed to have seen, or will be blessed to see 40 years. Also, my sister-in-law, Bernadette Meekus, her birthday is actually the day after, so June the 15th. So happy birthday to my sister-in-law, Bernadette. And she's also turning the big 4-0. So we're born just a day apart.
Awesome.
But appreciate that, bro. Thanks very much, man.
Yes, sir.
And we're going to recap the NBA Finals. So once again, we do ask our audience to bear with us. We did have a full show slated, but due to the fact that, last-minute considerations were shorthanded, we're also having some technical issues as well. So today we'll just be discussing, once again, the World Cup. We're recapping the NBA, the 2018 NBA Finals. So that's it. Let's talk some sports. Toronto Talk Sports and more. Hez here, and the anticipation is over as the 2018 FIFA World Cup finally kicks off this Thursday, June 14th. I'm joined in studio with Prathamesh Wadia, a.k.a. Pratt, who happens to be a huge soccer fan and who also happens to be our in-house Toronto Talk Sports social media manager. Pratt, welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you for having me, buddy.
Awesome. Now, first questions first. How did I do with your name?
Well, not too bad. I've heard worse.
You've heard worse. So how exactly do you pronounce it? Pronounce it for us, your full name.
Well, it's Prathamesh Wadia. It's just easier to call me Prat. So
I think I'm going to start calling you Pratt from now on, as I always do anyway. Once again,
totally
Pratt,
cool.
Welcome to the show. So the World Cup, once again, is set to begin on Thursday with game one, or the first game, actually, Russia against Saudi Arabia. So nothing really exciting there. That's just kind of the opening game to kind of kick things off. But business and things really get started on Friday with 3 matchups, including the huge game, Cristiano Ronaldo and his team from Portugal as they take on Spain. What are your thoughts on that game, first of all, Pratt?
that game's going to be huge. I mean, it's so anticipated, right? Like Cristiano Ronaldo has been in great form, and Iniesta has been doing great for Spain. And so basically what I feel like is this matchup is going to be like a good team with one of the best players in the world versus an overall strong team. So Spain is known for their team play. They're just so good with passing the ball around. They're the best team out there when it comes to passing. So it's going to be a really tough matchup.
Awesome, awesome. So if I was a betting man, which sometimes I am, who should I put my money on?
Well, my top four this time would be Brazil, Germany, France, and Spain. Not necessarily in that order. Like, I'm a Brazil fan, so for me, Brazil is always going to be first. But this year, I feel like France is really, really strong. They've got Mbappe, Lotin, they've got Griezmann. They're both doing really, really well, and they've got some really big names up there. But for me, I would always just vote for Brazil because I grew up watching them play.
Awesome.
They play beautiful football. So.
Okay, what about underdogs? What are maybe one or two teams that aren't really getting a lot of talk that could quite likely surprise us?
I think Belgium doesn't get enough credit.
Belgium?
Yeah, they have some really good players. They have
some really good
Hazard.
waffles too.
Oh yeah. Oh, I do love me some Belgian waffles.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, as I was saying, they have some really strong players. Eden Hazard has been playing pretty well, and Lukaku has been scoring a lot. So I feel like they're going to be a really solid team. They have one of the best goalkeepers in the world. I feel like Belgium is going to surprise a lot of people out there.
Okay, so I'll definitely be looking out for them, and if they do well, we'll bring you back in and give you your props for that prediction. What about Lionel Messi? So obviously there's a lot of attention on him. Many hail him as being, the best player, the GOAT, as they say, along with Cristiano Ronaldo. A little bit of a tongue twister there. So Lionel Messi has never won a World Cup. He has so many other honors in, obviously, the history of the sport. How do you feel Argentina will do this year? What are your thoughts? Can he finally get over that hump and win that big championship? How well do you see Argentina doing? Because you haven't mentioned them so far.
So I'm not sure if Argentina is going to win, but they have a good chance because this time their team looks pretty strong and Messi's out to prove a point. And he's been in great form this year, and they have a bunch of other players as well who are good.
Right.
For me, I feel that Argentina has great attack, but their defense can fall apart sometimes, and that's their crux,
Absolutely. So we'll see if they're able to get that in order, and if he's able to make some noise and finally.
He'll definitely do some great stuff.
Oh, he'll score some goals. So he'll definitely do his thing.
You can count on him for that. There's that.
Certainly. So what's your overall prediction? If you had to pick one team when it's all said and done, the FIFA champions 2018. Who would that be?
Well, this year, my vote is actually Brazil. Like, usually I just support them because I like that team. But this time, Neymar is back from his injury.
Yep, he's fully healthy, yep.
He is killing it, and I feel like they, as a team, can do so much because they have Gabriel Jesus in strike, getting fed by Neymar, Coutinho. It looks like just a brilliant team on paper. It almost takes me back to the 2002 days when Roberto Carlos, Ronaldinho, Romario, all these guys would play. So I feel like this is going to be a great year for Brazil.
Awesome. So listen, as we wrap this up, can't leave without discussing FIFA World Cup 2026. It was just announced Wednesday morning that the 2026 World Cup will be hosted right here in North America. It's a joint venture between Canada, the U.S., and Mexico. What are your thoughts on that, and what can we look forward to 8 years from now?
I am so thrilled that they actually decided to go and bid for it, and they even won it, which is going to be amazing. I would love to see like a live international game here in Toronto.
Let's go.
So
let's do it.
I'm hoping that it all goes through. It goes well.
Absolutely. Well, a lot can happen, obviously, between now and then. 8 years does seem like a long time. Who knows where we'll be at that particular time in our lives or what else is going on. But very exciting news if we do get the opportunity once again to actually go and watch some games live, the FIFA World Cup. That'd be an honor. Prat, anything else you want to add in terms of whether it's predictions, anything else to look out for, particularly the 2018 FIFA World Cup?
Oh, yeah, we totally forgot to mention the defending champs, Germany.
Absolutely.
So they've been doing really good this tournament. They won all the 10 games for the qualifiers. They've got some great names out there. Thomas Müller is the highest scorer so far, and it looks like it's shaping up to be a really good year for them. But I will never forgive them for the 7-1 defeat in the World Cup last year for Brazil. So my heart is still with Brazil, and they actually faced in the Olympic finals as well, and Brazil beat them. So, so they did get some vengeance, but the World Cup is where it's at.
Do you recall, because I don't have it here, when was the last time a team actually repeated and won back-to-back World Cups? I don't know if you have that.
Well, I'm glad you asked that question, actually, because it hasn't happened in a long time, about, say, 60 or so years.
Oh, okay.
So the last time it happened was Brazil did it in 58, and I believe it was
62, I guess.
Yeah, it was actually. So, yeah, there's the pressure's actually on for Germany to defend their title. So we'll see how it goes.
We'll see what happens. Awesome. So we'll all be tuning in. Lots of stuff. Obviously, as you said, it gets started Thursday, June 14th, FIFA World Cup 2018. Pratt, thanks for joining us in studio, talking some soccer.
Thank you for
having me. We look forward to the tournament, absolutely. Toronto Talk Sports and more. So time for some NBA talk now. Courtz is back on the line, and we're also pleased to be joined by Gregory Tennant. Gregory, no stranger to TTS. He joined us in episode number 7. Big G, what's going on, brother?
Not too much, no. Just here looking at this weather, hoping this storm passes by without damaging my house anymore.
Oh boy, it's crazy out there, eh?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
one second it's nice, next second it's overcast. I don't know what to do anymore.
Hey, it's all about the 6, man. It's all about Toronto. Crazy weather. So listen, guys, we have a few things to discuss. Before we get to our main story, which of course is the Golden State Warriors winning the big championship, let's quickly just pick up on a story that we discussed on last week's episode, the whole Brian Colangelo scandal. So the day after we aired episode number 10, the news broke that Brian Colangelo was parting ways with the 76ers after the investigation into the burner Twitter accounts revealed that his wife Barbara was actually the one behind it all, which we kind of suspected. That news kind of came out. Basically the story, of his wife who, she defended her husband in a way that pretty much left him unemployed. So Brian Colangelo, who we all would pretty much regard as a proven talented basketball mind in the NBA, question basically is, will he eternally be blacklisted from the National Basketball Association, or will we see him, kind of reappear at some time maybe in the future? What do you think, guys?
For me, it's hard to see him coming back at all from this. This is kind of a career-ruining kind of situation, no matter who did the tweet.
Right.
You got caught at the end of it. Unless his dad hires him for something, his dad's still very powerful in the NBA circles and all around the place. So
Jerry is indeed.
That's the only way I can see if somebody owes him a favor, because he can't be trusted anymore.
Yeah, it's a very sad, unfortunate situation. What do you think, Courtz?
Well, absolutely. I mean, even though he says that he had nothing to do with this, I mean, clearly we understand that the information that his wife had was sensitive information, and she had to have got that information from somebody, which is obviously Brian. So personally, I agree with Greg. I don't see Brian back in the NBA. And another thing that really disturbs me about what happened was after he resigned or got fired or the resignation, he pretty much threw his wife under the bus in his interview. I don't know if you listened to that interview, but
no, I didn't see that.
That was just wrong. I'm not only looking out for whether his NBA career will be a danger, but I mean, for the looks of it, his marriage seems like it's going to be falling apart after this.
Yeah, but I found it odd and peculiar that at the end of it, he also said that we're family, we'll work through this.
Yeah.
To me, I'm like, dude, you kind of threw your wife under the bus. You have no career because of this. Now, I'm really not sure what you're going to work on.
Yeah, so
I don't know if they're religion or something like that I'm unaware of, that they're going to fight for it. But to me, I'm like, yo, this woman just lost me my job.
Yep.
I'm unemployable. Mm-hmm. What am I working through? What are we really dealing with here? This is kind of like, what she didn't know, she wasn't supposed to tell people that this guy sucked and we're going to trade him. And I don't know what else she was tweeting and sending out, but it's kind of ridiculous that it all came to this.
Yeah, so admittedly, I missed that press conference. I didn't see that. But my opinion on the matter is I think that there's no way at all that, he didn't know what was going on and they weren't kind of, in cahoots, doing it together. I just don't see that. And you're right, Courtz. I mean, either way, he definitely gave her sensitive information that he shouldn't have. In terms of my opinion on it, if he'll resurface again, stranger things have happened and people have done much worse in sports. We seem to be in, a society where after a period of time, people usually get some kind of forgiveness. So, and as I said, he is a pretty smart basketball mind and he is he's, or was anyway, well respected in the league. So I think it won't be for a while, maybe 5 years, could be a little longer. We'll see what happens. And, let's just wish them, in terms of their marriage at least, all the best. Let's switch gears, guys. On Tuesday, the news broke that our hometown Toronto Raptors hired former assistant Nick Nurse as their new head coach. We just learned that he was given a modest $10 million contract over 3 years. Pretty mixed views on this from social media by Raptor fans. Many expecting actually the Raptors to bring in perhaps a bigger name guy, maybe like a Mark Jackson or something of the sorts. What are your thoughts, guys, on the hiring?
When I first heard that Nick Nurse was being hired as the coach, I wasn't necessarily surprised. I thought that he was from the jump, he was one of the primary candidates. I know from many Raptors fans, like you alluded to, many people are just, shooting this down. Like, what are the Raptors thinking? How can they hire this guy with no experience? But the way I look at it, how are you ever going to get experience if you're not put in the position to get that experience? It's like going for a job interview. You go for a job interview, you don't have the necessary credentials as somebody else. So I want somebody with experience. Well, how do you expect me to get experience if you don't allow me to get this experience? Nick Nurse has a brilliant basketball IQ. I agree. I think that this is just one step that the Raptors need to do this offseason. There's so many different holes, whether it be personnel, roster.
Yeah, player personnel,
yep. The Raptors need to address this offseason. I say let's give him the benefit of the doubt. Let's work with Nick Nurse, see what he can do. And, we'll go from there.
Awesome. What are your thoughts, Greg?
I think it's a wise decision. I saw it coming from, a long time. You got to hire from within. He's there. It was either him or Stackhouse. I can't see much change to the roster at this point. So you got to bring in somebody that the players can understand and are amicable with, and he's amicable back with them, and they'll trust him and they'll believe in him, and they just got to take it to a different, level. Find that one or two twitchies in between the season and see if they can get there. But 3 years for $10 million for a coach to give him a break, it's Masai's guy at this moment. He's got to sink or swim with what he started. He wants to, keep it where it is. I think it's a good choice. I think from here they're going to go forward. They just need to strengthen up maybe now his assistant coaches and stuff, because obviously we lost Stackhouse to Memphis.
Yes.
To me, I thought that was a big loss for our system as it is, because now he's bringing our system to Memphis to run it the same kind of way with his mentality. Yeah. But Nick Nurse, he's a good choice. We didn't hear any big names. He got a month. He interviewed 7 people. Most of them were San Antonio assistant coaches. Other than that, what big name was lurking? Mark Jackson. If he really wanted to coach, I would have swore he would have yelled it up and down during the NBA Finals that, he's available for Toronto.
Right.
Outside of that, other coaches in a program is really leaving their program, to build. So we have a process here. Toronto brass believes that it's a working formula. So going outside to bring somebody with outside may be too much for the nucleus of what we have, since pretty much we're not going to be able to change it anytime soon.
Great. And just to remind our guests, as I said, Gregory, you were a guest with us in episode number 7. If I do recall, you were pretty much a fan or in support of the Dwayne Casey firing, correct, right?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, you can't take the horse to the show 3 times and, get swept. Yeah. It's, to me, it's a tarnish on your resume, that you got swept 3 years in a row in the playoffs in the thing. You get all and then you best regular season record. Where you get the whole, and Toronto fans already. I was pretty, perplexed that Toronto was like, oh, why they fire him? I thought they'd be all for it and jumping up and down, because they can't stand for mediocrity here. Yep.
Right.
Unless you're a Maple Leaf fan. The Raptors fans want all of it. Basketball fans are greedy. We want the whole thing. We're not satisfied with what Casey can bring. Mm-hmm. And like I said, he got us as far as we can go. To me, it's just the same thing that happened to Mark Jackson. you know, if you can bring them so far, and now you kick in Steve Kerr's mentality, and it changes that much, and boom, you know, now he has a dynasty. And even Steve Kerr said, you know, the defense is all Mark Jackson.
Right. Yeah, he laid the foundation.
Yeah, he laid the foundation. It's not me. It's Mark Jackson's defense that's doing it. Right. I came in and changed the offense a little bit and made it a bit more open.
And I know, and I know.
And Nick Nurse knows what he has. He's been here for what, 5 years. He knows what needs. You know, I could see his frustration on the bench as an assistant coach. You know, he's looking at Dwayne Casey standing there like a pylon on the sideline, not doing anything. And you know, he's seeing all the things going bad on this and that, and Dwayne Casey looks lost. So you know, it's his turn. He got the keys to the ship. He got 3 years. You know, obviously it's only 2 years, and if you don't do anything, you'll be out by then.
Right,
but, you know,
right.
Dwayne Casey, you know, he's going to get hired someplace, so he's across the river or lake, or whatever we got up in here in Canada.
He's in Detroit, yep.
You know, it's going to be probably the new battle now, Toronto and Detroit, so it should be pretty good.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens. And I know that you in particular, Gregory, you take the whole concept of coaching very seriously. You know how to break it down because you yourself are a basketball coach. So you know exactly what you're talking about in that regard. So thanks for sharing that. I'm
watching a game and I see things that, you know, could be changed and not being changed. And, you know, you scratch your head, and then your general manager has to come down on the court and, you know, berate you for not doing what he can see should have been done for the whole game. It's kind of weird to me that, and to say that he's a defensive-minded coach to begin with, and always losing the lead in the fourth quarter made no sense to me. Especially, my friend's a season ticket holder. I'm there with him a lot of the games, so I got good seats, and I can, you know, I look and I can see what's really going on, and it's like crazy seeing some of the things that happen, and he's not even aware of it.
Oh, wow.
Nick Nurse is quick, though, because that brother can jump off a chair and jump in Dwayne Casey and tell him stuff with a clipboard in his hand. Quick,
well, listen, guys, let's hope it all works out. We'll definitely be watching, and we'll see what happens. Let's switch gears a bit, guys. Get to our main topic. Friday, June the 8th, the Warriors completed the 4-game sweep of LeBron and the Cleveland Cavaliers, going on to win their 3rd NBA championship in 4 years, and it wasn't even close. Courtz, when we were here last week following Game 2, you were very certain, you had no doubt whatsoever, that the Dubs would be bringing out the brooms and the Cavs would be resting peacefully after 4 games, and that's exactly what happened. Guys, and let's begin with you, Courtz. What was your overall takeaway of the series?
My overall takeaway from the series pretty much happened, the turning point of the series happened with 5 seconds to go in Game 1 last week. George Hill missing that critical free throw to give the team the lead. Then when J.R. Smith grabbed the rebound and was dribbling the ball out, thinking that they had the lead, that blunder right there, just psychologically, when you're playing sports, I mean, sport is it's a psychological game.
Yep, you got to be locked in.
And that right there affected the team psychologically so much. In overtime, we saw it seemed like they just, you know, gave up. They bewildered. It
took the life out of them.
Definitely. Game 2, they weren't in it. Game 3, they made it close. They had the lead. They just couldn't finish. The Game 4, the Cavs just didn't even show up. But everything that happened to that last play in Game 1, right there, you're going to see that the life was completely sucked out of the Cleveland Cavaliers. And from that moment there, I was pretty much guaranteed that they would not win a single game that series.
Wow. And let me ask you this, Gregory. Do you subscribe to the theory, because this has been thrown out there, that basically, and specifically in Game 4, the last game, that LeBron and the Cavs basically quit, that they gave up, particularly in the second half when there was, from even what I observed, you know, not much effort at all. Do you feel that the life was just totally sucked out of them? Maybe, you know, residual effect from Game 1, but specifically the fourth closeout game and in the second half where they were just beyond horrible. Do you really believe that LeBron James and the Cavs just checked out and essentially gave up?
I would say definitely checked out, which definitely would lead to giving up, whether they wanted to or not. Court said there, the deflating part in the end of the 3rd game there where they had the lead and they couldn't hold on to it and lost the game. If you watch LeBron's face, he had a look of, we're not getting anything in this series.
Yeah.
You know, and the way they came out the 4th game, of a sweet game series. There was no excitement, barely any excitement in the stands to begin with.
The crowd was so silent.
And
you hear a pin drop.
And to me, I would thought that they'd won goal. Me as a coach, I'd have to have Golden State lay down in the first 3 minutes of the game.
Yep.
Knowing that this is a Cavs game. There's nothing we can do to win this game. I don't want you guys to kill yourself. Let's go home to GSW in Dub Nation and win it on our home court and party that night.
Mm-hmm.
To me, I would have figured that's what Kerr would have been thinking and what the Cavs would have been doing. But the Cavs came out slow. They came out the same thing. They came out with no desire. LeBron looked, as he did in Game 2, just totally fatigued, out of it for 90% of the game.
Mm-hmm.
He had his sparks here and there. But Kevin Love could only help him so much. The rest of the guys were flaking. Like George Hill played like 10 minutes of good basketball in 4 games.
Yep.
I don't know why in the world he even had Clarkson on the court.
And what happened to Kyle Korver? I mean, he was, all series. He did basically nothing. Horrible.
The defense Cleveland plays, to me, honestly, people may disagree, but Calderon would have been a much better starting point guard in that series for them.
I don't disagree.
But I think he could control that game. He's a better scorer, and he's been to the big games with Spain and stuff like that, so that's not going to scare him. George Hill just looked totally out of it.
Jose Calderon has very high basketball IQ. You got to give him that. Absolutely.
He sat beside LeBron almost every game. Every game he was the one sitting beside LeBron when LeBron came out for his 10 seconds. Game 1 totally deflated it. When J.R. Smith grabbed the rebound and was running to the liquor store, it was just ridiculous. And to me, I don't understand because he got the rebound with like 3-point-something seconds left.
Yeah.
Everybody should have been calling a timeout. The coaching staff should have jumped off. You got the greatest player on the planet with 3.8 seconds left on the clock in a tie game, and you're going to let J.R. Smith go off it?
That's a blunder. That's something that we won't forget for a very, very long time. Guys,
LeBron looked like he was trying to call it, but that was like after he froze like a Darren Lights when he's like, "What the hell is he doing?" What's he doing? Like, you guys are paying millions of dollars to have a memory lapse with 3 seconds left on the clock that you don't realize that he has to hit 2 to win?
Yeah, by that time, it was too late to call a timeout.
That's a bigger blunder than Chris Webber's college one.
Oh, big time. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, they had a chance to. That would have definitely changed the tide of the series. The Cavs definitely should have won Game 1. And then from there, I'm sure we would all agree the Dubs would have likely still won the series anyway. But at least the Cavs would have been in it. They would have had a chance. Going back home, split, whatever, you take your chances. But after losing that way, it was over.
Huge. From winning Game 1, especially in the opposing team's arena, would have been huge. And I think that psyche would have settled down on Golden State and hurt them a lot more being the team they are, because they're just used to coming in and bullying everybody at the gym.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right? And for them to lose, and remember, Cleveland had a big, big lead in that game, too.
Yes, and they did.
They put it on cruise control for some reason, and Clarkson on there to shoot 1 for 8, and it was like the changing point.
Certainly.
Absolutely.
So, guys, what about this whole issue of LeBron's broken hand, fractured hand, whatever it was, and just how that story conveniently came to light pretty much right at the end of the game, during his presser when he came out with the cast. What was up with that? What are your thoughts on that, Courtz?
Yeah, I didn't like that at all. Yes, understandably so. He was frustrated after Game 1. I probably would have done the same thing, punch that white board.
Why didn't he punch JR? Take a Michael Jordan. Look what Michael Jordan did to Steve Kerr. Punch JR in the face.
That's right. But for me, what really gets me upset is the fact that, after he just gets swept and after it looks like you didn't really try at all in Game 4, you're going to come out to the press conference after you just got swept with this cast on your hand. That just pretty much takes away from everything. LeBron James, I respect that guy. I don't really like him, but I respect him. But you got to do better than that. I mean, if after game 1, yeah, show them your cash, but don't cry like a little baby after game 4, after you get swept. Oh, look, I didn't win. I had a broken hand this whole series. That's why I couldn't get the job done. I just think that just tarnishes.
So you think he was kind of trying to get a little bit of sympathy there with the hand?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but it also could be used in both ways, psychology, because he could be using it to take the blunt of the blow to himself and try to overshadow that his team was rubbish, right? Like, I had a broken hand, don't blame my team. It's all on me. My hand is broken for stupidness. He may have stepped up to that. I doubt that's his reasoning. But I don't think he really had a good press conference with these guys this whole championship series since game 1 when they kept asking him about, did you think that JR knew what he... Like, asking people, a guy a question about the guy's mental state. It's like... and then he took off with his shorts and his nice little bag and got up and was upset.
Yep.
Right, but to me, I'm like, you broke your hand game 1. You got to go 2 ways. You can't tell the opposing team that you had an injury because then they're gonna pick on it the whole time.
Yeah.
And then you look like afterwards saying, well, I had a broken hand the whole time.
Yeah, just the whole timing of it kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And frankly, for me personally, and I'm no doctor, I'm no medical expert, but I strongly doubt that his hand was actually broken. I'm sure it was hurt. I'm not saying he wasn't hurt. I'm sure whether it was some kind of a fracture or whatever the case. But if you actually have a broken hand, can you even pick up a basketball, let alone shoot the ball, let alone doing all these crazy high fives with your teammates and your sons after the game?
It all depends because you got like 5 billion bones in your hand.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that's true.
So it depends what he fractured or broke in that hand. But I think it was his off shooting hand as well, wasn't it?
No, it was his
shooting hand. It was his right hand.
His right hand, yeah.
Well, he shot pretty well, so I don't...
Yeah, I mean, I don't personally think he was using it necessarily as an excuse, but I think it was one of those situations, again, with LeBron where he was just trying to kind of, control and pretty much manipulate, the media and just kind of control that narrative, which for the most part he does pretty well. The timing of it just kind of turned me off a bit, but, I mean, it is what it is. I mean...
It might have been using it for why he's not driving and dunking all the time and why he kept it outside of a game and stuff like that. It's a feeble excuse,
Perhaps,
Golden State whooped their butt. That's pretty much all it was.
That's exactly what they did. And speaking of Golden State, guys, so after this series completed, the Warriors in the last 2 seasons, just with Kevin Durant, they are 32-8. So basically 84% in the playoffs, including a record of 8-1 in the finals. The last 2 years with Kevin Durant. So now we start to get to this talk about this D word, dynasty. And traditionally, for the most part, a dynasty is, if you win 3 championships within a 5-year span, you qualify for a dynasty. They went back to back, once again, 3 championships within 4 years. So what are your thoughts on the Golden State Warriors in terms of their place in history? Are they a dynasty? And what do we expect from them in years to come?
Well, to me, I don't like comparing generation and eras and stuff, but to me, they are the dynasty of this generation, of the millennium kids or whatever. What they've done in the last 5 years is ridiculous. They talk about what LeBron's done, but they've done the exact same thing getting there themselves. So to me, a dynasty right now would be them because when you start the season for the last 4 or 5 seasons, your goal is to beat Golden State, not Cleveland, not Houston, not anybody. Your goal is to find a way to stop Golden State. And so to me, that makes you a pretty good dynasty.
Yeah, I totally agree. And we have teams like the Houston Rockets who say that they're totally obsessed with beating the Golden State Warriors.
Yep.
I mean, that's all they think about. That's all they dream about. They did come close. And but we definitely do have a dynasty on our hands here. Of the past 4 years, no team in the history of the NBA has had a better 4-year span than the Golden State.
That is true. That is correct.
Right, so we're definitely seeing a dynasty in the making. Next year, they're definitely going to be favorites again to win it all. Of course, we'll see where LeBron decides to go and what kind of a super team, if he does decide to form that. But as of now, the Golden State Warriors are the team to beat.
Certainly. And let me just throw out a very interesting stat. I saw this the other day. So Steph, the Chef Curry, Wardell Steph Curry, joined some very exclusive company winning this championship. He joined what's known as the 2-3-4 Club. The 2-3-4 Club, which is basically 2 regular season MVPs and 3 championships within 4 years. Since 1980, only 2 athletes have done this since 1980. Once again, 2 MVPs, 3 championships in 4 years. The only 2 other athletes to do that since 1980, Wayne Gretzky in the NHL, and of course, Michael Jordan himself in basketball. So very elite company from Steph Curry.
Legends right there.
Absolutely. So guys, the season is over. There's going to be plenty of ball to talk about over the summer. Free agency opens up on July the 1st. You touched on it there, Courtz, in terms of LeBron, his decision and what he might potentially do. We'll call it LBJ.
Lakers.
Well, hey, we'll see what happens. We'll call it LBJ Decision 3.0 because this is the 3rd time that he's going as an unrestricted free agent. So we're going to be basically discussing this, guys, in next week's episode number 12. Thanks so much for joining us, Gregory. Thanks again, Courtz, for chiming in. Toronto Talk Sports and more. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in, and thanks once again for bearing with our technical difficulties. Also, special thanks to Gregory and Pratt for joining us on the show. And by the way, Pratt, who I mentioned in the intro, also happens to be our resident social media manager. He also happens to be a very, very super talented photographer. So feel free to check out his work at pwadia.com. That's pwadia.com. And feel free to hire him for some projects. He's awesome. So thanks once again. Our next episode number 12, will air on Thursday, June 22nd. So we'll be back at it Thursday, June 22nd. We look forward to bringing you more of what you love, Toronto Talk Sports, and more. For the love of the Six, let's connect.
Thank you for tuning into Toronto Talk Sports and more. Please subscribe to our podcast via Apple iTunes or Google Play Store. And stay tuned for new episodes, prizes, and surprises at torontotalksports.com.